sentence you to life in confinement without parole.
That's f***ing horse shit. You do whatever the f*** you want.
Why are they shutting my mic off?
I'm the federal witness of the United States federal government. I demand some goddamn respect, you. All I did was trespass on property.
Ma'am, you gotta create the community that you want to live in.
Bond court is a free service, but it takes several hours of my time every day. Less than 10% of Bond court viewers hit the like button, and less than 1% leave a comment. If you want Bond court to continue to be available on YouTube for free, then please hit the like button and leave a comment on all of my videos.
Public defender waived her appearance. Medical reasons. Thank you. Jordan Medina. Please say your name.
Jordan Medina.
Again?
Jordan Medina.
Thank you. Mr. Medina, you were arrested for petty theft, possession paraphernalia, possession of cocaine, possession with intent to sell or deliver cocaine. There is probable cause. PTR, any history?
Your Honor, he has a no valid driver's license out of Polk County in 2019, which was an adjudication withheld. He has extensive history out of New York for drug paraphernalia, robbery, grand larceny, assault, possession of a weapon, petty burglary. His most recent offenses were in January of this year for robbery and possession of a weapon and disorderly contact. He was conditionally discharged for that.
What do you mean by conditionally discharged? Is that from up north or from down here?
From
So whatever their language means.
Yeah, whatever. They're
Mr. Medina, have you ever been found incompetent by a judge or a doctor?
No.
Okay, and how long have you been in Kissimmee?
4 years.
How many?
4 years.
4, okay. All bonds will be stayed. 250 count 1, 500 count 2, 2,500 count 3, 7,500 count 4. He qualifies for PTR with bond, so the court's going to add PTR supervision. No contact with any listed co-defendant. If there was a it says observed unknown Hispanic. I don't think there was a co-defendant. Okay. No return to any Walmart. Do not possess or consume any illegal substances. Do you need a public defender?
Yes.
You can delete the no contact with co-defendant. PD provisionally appointed. Next court date?
On demand.
Thank you. Kennedy Walton. Please state your name, sir.
Kennedy is Walden.
Mr. Walden, you were arrested for trespass on property other than structure conveyance. There is probable cause. PTR, any history?
Yes, Your Honor. He has history dating back to 2019 for a robbery out of Polk, which was dropped. Resisting without violence, he was found guilty. Time served out of Polk. Multiple resisting without violence, trespassing. Most recently in February of this year, he was found guilty for that as well.
Do you know if it was the same location?
No, Your Honor. They were all out of the same county, Polk.
According to the risk assessment sheet, he qualifies for direct PTR?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Walden, you're going to be released, pretrial release. You may not return to any racetrack, gas station. Do you need a public defender?
Yes.
PD will be appointed provisionally. Next court date?
On demand.
That means they'll let you know. Thank you. Tremel Williams. Please state your name, sir.
Williams.
Thank you. Mr. Williams, you were arrested for domestic violence battery. I've read the affidavit. There is probable cause. PTR?
Yes, Your Honor. He has a driving without a valid driver's license in 2019. He was found guilty for that. He served 5 months of probation. He later had an FTA in that case later on in 2019.
Sir, your bond is going to be set at $500 with pretrial release supervision. no contact with listed victim, no return to the address. You can have a one-time assist order to get your personal belongings, no weapons or firearms. Do you need a public defender?
Yeah, so even though my name is on the lease too, I can't do that?
Correct. For now. PD will be provisionally appointed. Next court date?
On demand.
That means they'll let you know, sir. Thank you. Nathan Rodriguez, also known as John Doe 3193. Good afternoon. Please say your name.
Nathan Rodriguez, Your Honor.
Thank you. So, Mr. Rodriguez, we were able to get, I guess, a copy of your school ID and information that had your picture and your name and all that on it. So that was good. And if I remember PTR yesterday saying they ran that name and they had not really found anything, probably because you're so young. I'll let them tell me if there's anything new.
Yeah, Your Honor, we did run it this morning. He has no history in state or out of state, and we did provide the court with his school records and birth certificate.
Yeah, like I told you yesterday, my biggest concern was just making sure we knew exactly who you were, because I didn't want to run the risk of letting somebody I didn't know out on the street who could have had a very violent history. And now that we know who you are and you don't have a criminal record, that's good. So let me ask you, how long have you been in Kissimmee?
I came on vacation literally only like 2 days.
Okay, and you're going to go back to New Britain?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and you have family you can stay with there?
Yes, all my family's in New Britain. My mom's here to give me.
Okay. He doesn't qualify for PTR?
Your Honor, he does qualify for direct PTR in both cases.
Okay, on both.
Yeah, by the time we sent you the paperwork, we hadn't received his documentation yet.
State any objection based on all that info that we know now to the recommendation on the risk assessment sheet of direct PTR.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, so I'm going to release you, pretrial release. You can go back to New Britain with your family. You have to stay in touch with the PTR office. You can stay in touch on phone or video. You can FaceTime or whatever they set it up, but you got to stay in regular contact with them, and you got to stay out of trouble. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and you might have to come back for court at some point, but your lawyer will let you know when and where.
All right, thank
Do you need a public defender to represent you?
Yes.
Did you fill out the form, the financial questionnaire?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I haven't gotten it yet, so PD will be provisionally appointed. You must keep in touch with your lawyer and pretrial release, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So your family can pick you up at the jail later today.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Stay out of trouble.
Your Honor, would you like weekly contact or monthly?
Weekly would be great, just to make sure, because they're serious allegations, but
Okay.
based on him not really having a significant history and his family sweating bullets, they're going to keep an eye on him and make sure he stays out of trouble. Don't let him use the car. Bye. His family was here in the courtroom. Yeah. All right. So besides Johnny Mejia, is there anybody else that I missed? All right. And everybody else is out of there. We're good to talk?
That is correct,
All
Your
right.
Honor, and I was informed that Mr. Mejia's mother does need a Spanish interpreter.
Okay. Where is she's not here?
She's out.
Oh, she's outside. Okay. She's not the victim. She's probably coming to tell me about his condition, which.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I don't need her. She can come in and listen if she wants to, but she's not the listed victim.
I already told them to come in.
Yeah. If I need to hear from her, then I will call her in, but we need to address this. So,
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
hey there, Ms. Hill. Give me 1 second. So, Mr. Mejia, say your name. Okay, Mr. Mejia, how old are you?
20 years old.
All right, just making sure you're not under 18, because otherwise I have to let your mom come into the courtroom. All right, so is the public defender seeking provisional appointment?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you had conversations with his family indicating that they would need the services of the public defender?
That is correct, Your Honor, as well. For the court's information, the victim's mother is outside of the courtroom as well.
Okay, thank you for that info. So she can come in. Hold on 1 second.
The victim's mother.
Her name is Jaritza Mejia. So she can come in. She has the right to hear what's going on. PD provisionally appointed, yeah. No, she could just sit in the audience. This is Miss Jaritza Mejia? No, Jaritza Mejia. Miss Delgado can sit and listen if she wants to, but Miss Jaritza Mejia is the mom of the victim, alleged victim, and the sister of Mr. Mejia Delgado. She's not out there? Yeah, I understand. You can have a seat. Thank you. Okay. There's nobody else out in the hallway. It was just Mr. Mejia's mom and a gentleman who's with her. Okay? All right. Thank you. Sir, have a seat. You're not allowed to use a phone in the courtroom. No phones in the courtroom. Thank you. Yeah, the deputy just called the halls again, and the other lady's not out there. If she comes in, of course, she has the right to be here. And the mom and the other gentleman are in here listening as well. Okay, so let me just, we have an empty jail room, right? Just you guys? Okay, and the courtroom is just the people that I've indicated, the State Public Defender's Office, PTR, and us. All right, so Mr. Mejia was arrested for sexual battery on a person under 12 by a person over 18 years, chronological 18 years. My understanding, based on the information that PTR was trying to get over to me, that Mr. Mejia has some issues and his mental age is much younger than his physical age.
That's correct.
Okay, so Ms. Hill, I've waited until right now because whatever else info that you have for me needs to be said on the record, as would be whatever it is the public defenders are trying to get me to see. Sending them to my chambers or sending them to court admin is an ex parte communication that I'm not allowed to engage in. Any info that I get beyond the police report and the risk assessment has to happen in the courtroom so that all parties are getting the same info at the same time. And I'm not accused later of getting side details. Not that Ms. Hill meant that. I know she would never mean that. She's done this for a real long time. But just because of the nature of the type of charge, I wanted to make sure we were all together when any of this info was given. So having said that, Ms. Hill, you may proceed.
That's completely understood, Your Honor. He has been diagnosed with many disabilities, and I don't know if you would like me to state those disabilities.
You can if you'd like to. I mean, how did you get the information?
I got the information from our client.
I appreciate that information. Yes, those things do need to be on the record. The record never has information hidden from it. What we try to do is protect the privacy interests in some situations, and that's why we limit the people who are overhearing what we have to say. But the record always gets the most appropriate and the most accurate and the most detailed info. So if you know of his diagnoses, you may say it because it's kept confidential within who's here.
Yes, Your Honor.
I understand. I don't know how much, I mean, and I could be misremembering my time in mental health court, but at baseline means he's stable. At baseline means he's been on his medications for a period of time and that his conditions are maintained and managed and even, and he's had enough time for those medications to have the desired effect in helping him deal with the conditions that he has. So that's basically a layman's explanation of baseline, which is all that I can give you because I'm not a medical or psychological professional. So I understand what you're saying, and I certainly understand that the jail wouldn't be the most appropriate place to take care of his concerns, and B, that we would not want anything bad to happen in the process of waiting to see what happens in this case. However, I do have to balance that with the rights of the alleged victim the fear and concern of his propensity to re-offend and his ability to be compliant with any court orders. So I'm trying to balance all of that. There is probable cause in the affidavit for the reason that he was arrested. And that does usually result in a zero bond or a very high bond. So having heard everything that we've said so far about why you feel the jail might not be the best place for him and the Baker Act hold, I'm going to let the state respond on the record.
Your Honor, to my knowledge, Lauren Demers on behalf of the state, I was not made aware of any of this information until we were in court right now.
Right.
So without having the ability to contact the victim or the victim's mother, in this case, the fact that there's an admission and statements where this was not the first time this incident something like this had happened, the state does have concerns about an ROR first and foremost, and under the bond schedule, this is a capital sexual battery, and he is not entitled to bond. This might be something better flushed out with an emergency bond hearing this week in front of, I believe this case is assigned to Judge Nix. I have let the assigned ASA know that this case was coming in, but obviously not the extent of all of these extenuating factors. Not that I don't trust what PTR has, but the state hasn't had an opportunity to review those documents, talk to the victim about it. The state's position would be to hold him on the no bond status and possibly have a full-fledged bond hearing in the appropriate division so the victim can be present. They have a right to be here. The victim's mother has a right to be heard and be fully informed. And we just haven't had the opportunity to flush all of that out before the initial appearance today.
Let me ask PTR on this end, Mr. Reno, does Mr. Mejia have any previous criminal record? Any history?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And I don't know if Ms. Hill has this information. You told me that there is a Baker Act hold. If Mr. Mejia is at baseline and he has, up until the time he was arrested, had access to his medication, what behaviors are you all seeing that you believe a Baker Act is appropriate?
Well, that would need to come from our mental health director, Ms. Mendoza.
Okay.
I don't have that information in front of me, but I did want to state that we did have contact with the alleged victim's mother, and she will not be in the residence. She is moving in with the brother, who I believe is present there in court.
Yeah, and the gentleman raised his hand, so that identifies who's here with the mom. Okay. So for the record, I'd like the record to reflect Mr. Mejia is standing next to the public defenders over there in the chapel of the jail. Very attentive, very calm, very alert. He does not appear to me from this distance, and I don't know him outside of what we're doing here today, but he appears to be appropriately paying attention and calm and non-agitated. He doesn't look agitated at this moment to me. Not to say he wasn't before he came into court, not to say he can't be once he leaves court, but at this present moment, he appears very calm and alert to what we're saying. Normally, having done Baker Act hearings myself, the person that we're considering for the Baker Act petition must be exhibiting some signs, symptoms, or have made statements that would put the reasonable person at fear for his own safety or for the safety of other people in his presence. I'm not seeing that, but I also haven't read a report of what Ms. Mendoza may have experienced. I'm saying this all again to lay a record because it's a balancing act.
Perhaps it is not that he is displaying any erratic behavior at this time, but it's more of a preventative so that he can get the needed medication that's not available to him here at the jail, so that he does not go into a crisis mode.
I understand. I think that's a great way of of wanting to try and help him, but that's not a basis for Baker acting somebody. Unfortunately, I don't know that if I were the hearing officer hearing that, I probably would not order the Baker Act, but I do want him to get the medication that he needs to get. So let me ask his mom or his brother who are here in the courtroom about the medications. Who normally gives him his medications? Either one of you is fine, whoever can answer.
It's either my mother or
The other sister?
Yes.
Okay, so they help give him his medications?
Yes.
And how often does he experience seizures?
I know when he's taking when he doesn't take a particular medication, if he doesn't have it, he'll have violent seizures.
How long between the missed medication and the seizure starting? How?
Matter of days.
Days, okay. And Ms. Hill, these are not medications that if the family provides them, they could be administered at the jail?
It is my understanding that they cannot due to the type of medications.
So they're not allowed to be brought into the jail?
That's my understanding.
Okay. Mr. Mejia, do you remember when was the last time you took your prescriptions?
Yes.
When was it?
Oh, last week.
Okay. And Ms. Hill, do you know which ones are not allowed in, or are they all not allowed in?
I do not have that information. We're getting that for you.
Okay, I appreciate that. In the meantime, I'll ask Mr. Marino on this end. I know he doesn't qualify for PTR because of the nature of the offense. Does that mean he also would not be able to do any type of electronic monitoring or house arrest or anything like that?
Fortunately not, Your Honor.
None of it?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
the charge doesn't qualify
Okay.
for the admin.
And let me ask the brother again, what is the living arrangement? Your sister and her daughter and your brother all live with your mom? Okay, so they all live with mom in mom's house?
Yes.
Okay, and then the sister and the daughter, so let me just put in here, Haritza, Jaritza, and Najari are going to be coming to live with you? And where do you live?
I live in a separate apartment in Orlando.
But, okay, so not in Kissimmee, not in Osceola County, far away from where your mom's house is? Okay. And are they okay to stay with you for a little while?
I said I'll open the doors to my family as long as I can.
I appreciate that. No, I want to make sure I understand what's going on. Okay. Anything further from the state?
Your Honor, again, just without having time to review all the information, talk at greater length with the victim's mother. I mean, I understand we're hearing this from the brother, but we haven't had a chance to hear it directly from her under oath today. The state would object to a bond at this time. And I understand that there's a lot of moving pieces, and it doesn't mean the state may change their position in a few days, but there's just a lot of information that we're taking in just right now. And a case of this magnitude, these types of charges, the legislature says they're supposed to be held no bond for a reason. So it's the state's position that he should be held no bond, at least at this time.
I understand. I think for the record, I'd like to just mention that under circumstances that don't involve Mr. Mejia's mental health needs, the long list of medications that he's on that for the rules that apply to the jail and to corrections are controlled substances that are not allowed to be admitted into the jail. The fact that he has no previous criminal history, that he has a mental age of, if I'm not mistaken in reading the diagnoses I was given, of about 12. And the fact that he is an adult in the care of his biological or adoptive mother, in the care of his legal mom, I would be giving a different ruling. But at this time, and this is going to be very strictly worded, so I'll tell the clerk. I'm going to grant the motion for release ROR because there is a Baker Act hold. He will be released to an agent of Park Place and no one else. So he may be released to Park Place. Park Place is to notify the court upon any release from their facility. I'm going to say it slowly so the clerk can write it down. He is to be in the custody and supervision of his mom. Ma'am, what's your name again? Maritza Delgado. He may not reside anywhere except Miss Delgado's residence until further order. He is not to have any unsupervised contact with anybody under the age of 18. So you can't leave him alone with anybody under 18. Okay? And he is to have absolutely no contact with Najari or Jaritza. At all. No contact. They have to stay in separate places. Okay? And for the record, the victim and the victim's mom have voluntarily left the residence. By the time he's done at Park Place, that would have given them enough time to get their belongings or whatever they need out of there. The family, and you don't have to put this in the order, I'm just telling them, the family needs to not try to make things nice between the two of them. This case has to get over first. Don't try to intervene and keep them separated, because if one thing goes out of place, he's going back to the jail. Without a doubt. And then I would like for this to be set in front of Judge Nix for release review as soon as possible. State, could I ask you to be in charge of seeing if you can get that coordinated?
Yes, Your Honor. I have typed up detailed notes for the ASA that's going to be handling it, and we'll ask her to reach out to schedule a release status with Judge Nix this week.
Because as you know, Baker Act is up to 72 hours with maybe one renewal of up to another 72 hours. So the longest he can stay without physically being found incompetent and committed would be that 6-day period of time. So that would give a little bit of time for this to get in front of Judge Nix.
And Your Honor, just for the court's information, we will be forwarding all our medical documents to the state so that they do have these medical documents.
That's fine. That's no problem. This is a unique situation, and this is for the protection of the victim who is out of the house. The family knows the distance requirements that need to be imposed. Mr. Mejia is an adult in need of services, and so we're trying to accommodate that so that his health doesn't deteriorate or that he doesn't suffer a major episode for not having access to his prescribed medications. And Park Place is involved. So this is not just like a direct a direct ROR out into the street. And so hopefully that makes sense. Next court date will be on demand, besides hopefully this release review hearing that can happen quickly. Anything further from the state?
Your Honor, I would just like to, if and when he's released from Park Place, I would just ask that PTR, before he is officially released, just confirms with the Mejias that they have left that residence before he goes back there.
PTR is not involved because he doesn't qualify for PTR supervision under the admin order. So it's more of a loose conditional release type of a thing.
Yeah, the state's just concern is we've heard from the brother, but we haven't actually heard from them. and we want to make sure that they are at a safe place, since they're not technically obligated to leave the home. They're
Correct.
volunteering, but we just want to make sure that paths don't cross, and that, and I'll have the victim advocate reach out as soon as
Perfect.
possible as well, but
I'll tell the family and I'll tell Mr. Mejia, who's hearing me over at the jail, if Jaritza and Najari have not left mom's house, Johnny can't come back to the house. If they're still there, they're living there or they're visiting there, he can't be in the house anywhere near them. So if he gets caught anywhere around them, he's going to violate his release and go back to jail. So the important thing is to make sure that if she wants to leave, that she's gone before he comes home.
And Your Honor, we did speak directly to the mother of the alleged victim, and she did tell us that she is leaving to live with.
I understand. Things changed, so I just wanted to make sure. What, sir?
I want to know how long the process from here to Park Place would take.
Should be today. They're going to probably try and arrange for him to get picked up by Park Place today so that he can get his medications.
They'll keep him 3 days or?
They should, but I don't know for sure. They have to, there's a process on how quick it has to move, but they're going to evaluate him. It could be less than 3 days. That's why I wanted to make sure everybody understood.
Who's going to be contacted for his release?
Well, hopefully they'll contact you all. Yeah, I mean, if you want to go to Park Place and give them your information, that's fine. Yeah. All right, any other questions? Okay.
And Your Honor, for the court's information, we have been in contact with the alleged victim's mother. We will provide that contact information to the state as well with the medical records. So
That'd be great. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All righty, thanks.
have a good day.
You too. We'll be adjourned. I have court tomorrow at 9, but IA's tomorrow at 1. Thank you.
Bond court is a free service, but it takes several hours of my time every day. Less than 10% of Bond court viewers hit the like button, and less than 1% leave a comment. If you want Bond court to continue to be available on YouTube for free, then please hit the like button and leave a comment on all of my videos.
Miss Arlene, they don't have the information scanned, or I mean, it's not a thing I can click on in the clerks. Can you see? 2000 CF 014223 AO. Looks like the information would have been filed 4/4/2001. It's just not a link where I can click the document.
Maybe it hasn't been scanned in once everything
That's
was
what I was asking Ms.
converted.
Kirk. She has access to
Okay.
the real clerk site versus.
Good. Sure.
When you scroll down, pages, I can see it actually has the birthday. It doesn't have her birthday. What about the complaint? Like the police report.
The only concern is like to not give him, it would have to be a redacted copy, obviously.
Well, how could it be redacted if they're making him prove who the victim is and what her birthday is, and he takes a redacted copy and they.
I thought it was just her birth. It was her date of birth at the time, which would not have her name. It would just have her date of birth. It's not scanned in state's system at all, so I don't have those documents. I have a score sheet, but I don't have, I have a VOP affidavit.
And what, they didn't give you anything? They said that they didn't have anything. In the state? He would talk to me, so I filled out. He said because I was the.
Mr. Wayne, can you do me a favor? Can you pull up this case and stack? Because the PD's office was the original attorneys. 2000. Oh, great. So I don't know if maybe you guys have documents scanned in your system that we don't have.
What's the?
2000
Wait, 1 second.
CF.
Let me.
One 14223.
19, you said? What's?
Oh, 2000 CF 14223. Because they were the original attorneys, so they may have something.
1 4
If you don't mind.
2 1 4
223.
2 2 3.
Her age or birthday, it's not in the police report either.
This is for the VOP. This is the for the VOP.
I was in high school at the time. This one
Right, but is that the victim of the
High
is that the?
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's on the V, so that's not the actual case.
The only other suggestion I could say is maybe do a public records request to the state attorney's office to get the actual, the third page of the affidavit, the complaint, which would have her contact information. But it's not scanned, again, it's not scanned in, so I can't even print it. I mean, there's a physical file.
And after speaking to my client, he went to the state attorney's office and requested the information, but they wouldn't give it to him
Correct.
because
It's
he's
gotta be a public
the
record.
defendant. But he said that he notarized. Did you do a public records request to get this?
I did it there in the office and she stamped it.
Yeah, he notarized it and did a stamp at the
So
state
what's
attorney's
the
office.
time frame? So if he's released from the jail today,
Right.
how long does Mr. Burr have to go and comply with the registration requirements?
Right away, I would say, because I'm looking at the prior warrants that were issued and that he hasn't been registering.
I think then he is, as the attorney on me, I would say it's probably easiest if they, when he goes, that if they're not gonna let him register, that you get proof that at least he was present.
Right.
And then I can give you the public records request, and maybe you can reach out and see if you can get it.
Yeah, see if I
easier
can get it.
than-
I can probably get it for
Correct.
him better than
Correct.
himself. So that's what we'll have to work on today.
So,
As soon as possible.
Sounds like a great day.
Yeah.
All right, so unfortunately, Mr. Akachunas, we're not gonna be able to give you the information that you need to try to get this.
We'll
Issue
try
resolved.
to get that accomplished, Your Honor.
Okay, so at this time, based upon the information that's been provided to the court this morning, I'm not gonna take any action on 19 CF 6200 or 19 CF 3170.
Thank you.
Mr. Burr, obviously make sure that you are in touch with Mr. Akachunas. You document everything that you do to be able to get that information, the people you talked to who told you you need this birthday, everything that you've done to be able to comply. And all the times you go to the sheriff's office or the DMV or whatever it is where you need to report, and who you spoke to, what time you were there, you need to do that. Otherwise, this just is gonna keep happening.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
I got you.
All right, thank you.
And are you saying the bond was set at $1,500 in this case?
$1,500.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good seeing you.
You as well.
Thanks.
so. No problem.
Thank you. Sir, good morning, your name?
Juwan Bagley.
Sir, you're here in case number 19 CF 7341. You are arrested for possession of cocaine with intent to sell or deliver, possession of cocaine, possession of cannabis with intent to distribute, possession of cannabis less than 20 grams, possession of drug paraphernalia, and resisting officer without violence. I do find probable cause for the offenses. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you. I'm going to set your bond at $1,500 on count 1. I'm going to release you on your own recognizance on counts 2 through 6, and I'm going to also place you on pretrial release, sir. Thank you.
So PTR on the first count, Your Honor?
Yes, please. Thank you. Sir, good morning. Your name?
Kareem Benefield.
Well, Mr. Bass. Mr. Bass is in the hospital. All right, let's reset Mr. Bass for tomorrow, or when he gets out of the hospital. You're Mr. Benefield?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, you're here in case number 19 CF 7339. You were arrested for fraudulent use of credit cards. I do find probable cause and will appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to have any contact with Cassandra Delage, and you are not to return to Best Buy at 8350 Orange Blossom Trail. Your bond is $1,000, sir. Thank you. Good morning, ma'am. Your name?
Jennifer Gregory.
Ms. Gregory, this is case number 19 CF 7335. You were arrested for driving while license suspended with 2 prior convictions. You were also arrested for possession of cannabis less than 20 grams.
Say there's no objection to ROR, Your Honor.
Thank you. At this time, ma'am, I'm going to release you on your own recognizance, which means you won't have to post a monetary bond to be released from the jail. However, I want to warn you, if you come back before the court and you've been driving without a license again, I will revoke the bond and it will be set at none.
Okay.
Okay?
Can I get more of an understanding about what you said? You're releasing me and then the bond, what is that?
Sure. So at this time, I've released you on your own recognizance, which means that based upon your history and your charges, you won't have to pay. You won't have to pay any money to
Okay.
get out of the jail. You have
Thank
to
you.
appear for your court date.
Yes, ma'am.
Otherwise, they will issue a warrant for your arrest, and it won't have a bond on it.
Yes,
And the
ma'am.
other part I was explaining to you is if you come back before the court and you've been driving again without a license, I'm going to revoke the bond and you won't have one.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good morning, sir. Your name?
Yes, Hardaway.
Mr. Hardaway, you were here in case number 19 CF 7335. You were arrested for aggravated assault with a weapon. I do find probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Sir, you can't return to 6218 West Colonial Drive. You're not to have any contact with Roberto Perez Santisteban. Your bond is $2,500 and 19 mm 2847, sir. I'm going to revoke the bond at this time, and that will be set at none. Thank you.
We also have no weapons, Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Hardaway, you're not to possess any weapons while you are out on bond. Good morning, your name?
Ronald Jernsky.
Mr. Jaransky, you are here in case number 19 CF 7353. You were arrested for carrying a concealed firearm, grand theft, third degree of a firearm, petty theft, and criminal mischief. I do find probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time, sir.
We'd ask for no weapons and no contact.
Thank you. Yes, sir, you're not to possess any weapons or firearms while out on bond, and you cannot have any contact with Rodney Hargis.
If the record state objects to the PTR.
Okay, thank you. Sir, good morning. Your name?
Cedric Jones.
Mr. Jones, you're here in case number 19 CF 7326. You were arrested for grand theft, third degree. I do find probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. Your bond is $2,500. You're not to return to the Dollar General. And 19 CF 5063, I'm going to take no action on that case at this time. I'm not revoking your bond on that case.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir. Good morning, your name? Mr. Lennon. You're here in 19 CF 7366. You were arrested for possession of methamphetamine with intent, possession of fentanyl, and possession of drug paraphernalia. I do find probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Your bond in count 1 is $15,000. Your bond on count 2 is $150. Your bond on count 3 is $100. And 19 CF 3599, I'm going to revoke the bond at this time, and that will be set at none, sir. Thank you. Good morning, your name?
Javon McKinney.
Mr. McKinney, you're here in 19 CF 7367. You were arrested for possession of methamphetamine pursuant to a warrant where probable cause was previously found, sir. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Your bond is $1,000, and you're not to possess any drugs without a valid prescription, sir. Thank you. Sir, good morning. Your name?
James McNaughton.
Mr. McNaughton, this is 19 CF 7311. You were arrested for possession of methamphetamine. I do find probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you. I'm going to release you on your own recognizance at this time, sir. Make sure that your attorney has your correct address so you get notice of your court date, okay? All right, thank you, sir. Sir, your name?
Barkey Muller.
You see Mr. Muller? Mr. Mueller, you're here in case number 19 CF 7352. You were arrested for driving while license suspended or revoked as a habitual offender and possession of cocaine. I do find probable cause for both of those offenses. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Your bond on count 1 is $2,500. Your bond on count 2 is $150. I'm not going to take any action at this time on your out on bond case. I'm not going to revoke the bond. But if I see you again in here driving without a driver's license, I'm revoking the bonds and setting them at 0.
Ma'am,
All right?
thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, your name?
Anthony Bernard Parton.
Mr. Parton, this is 19 CF 7118. You were arrested pursuant to a warrant where probable cause was previously found for the offenses of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, shooting or throwing into an occupied vehicle, and aggravated assault with a firearm. I will appoint the public defender's office to represent you. At this time, I'm going to set your bond at $5,000 on count 1, $5,000 on count 2, and I'll stay on the bond on count 3 at $5,000. Case number 19 CF 3505, I'm revoking the bond at this time, and that will be set at none.
We just for no contact with the victims, no weapons or firearms.
Yes, sir, you're not to have any contact with any of the alleged victims in this matter, and you're not to possess any weapons or any firearms.
May I ask why my bond was revoked from the first one? No information was filed on the charges?
Because you're out on bond, and then you allegedly committed a new law offense.
Right, I understand
Part of the
that.
conditions of your release.
The first bond, no information was filed on the first charges, though.
Are you saying it doesn't exist? Like, did they not file?
No, they did not
One
file.
moment, Your Honor.
Sure.
Anthony Parton. The state has not made a charging decision, that's correct. We haven't dropped the case, it just has not.
Has it been
Do
over?
you understand the distinction, Mr. Parton?
Excuse me?
So in the case that you're out on bond for, they have not dismissed that case or dropped the case. They just haven't made a charging decision. So it's still a pending case. You're still out on bond for that case, and you're not allowed to commit any new law offenses when you're on bond. That's why your bond is revoked. All right, thank you. Good morning, ma'am. Your name?
Simone Ramnoreen.
Ma'am, you're here in case number 19 CF 7354. You were arrested for aggravated assault with a motor vehicle and aggravated assault with a weapon. I find probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Your bond on count 1 will be $5,000. Your bond on count 2 will be $5,000. You're not to have any contact with the alleged victim in this case, Jennifer Ryder, and you are not to possess any weapons or any firearms. Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, sir. Your name?
Dan Shaler.
Mr. Shazer, this is case number 19 CF 7312. You were arrested for possession of methamphetamine. I do find probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you. I'm going to release you on your own recognizance, sir, which means you won't have to post any money to get out of the jail. You need to make sure that your attorney has your correct address so that way you get notice of your court date. Do you understand? All right. You also are not allowed to possess or consume any illegal substances while out on bond. Do you understand? Okay, thank you. Good morning, your name?
Good morning, Henry Stafford, ma'am.
Mr. Stafford, you're here in case number 19 CF 7328. You were arrested for burglary of a conveyance and grand theft third degree pursuant to a warrant where probable cause was previously found. I will appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Your bond on count 1 is $3,500. Your bond on count 2 is $150. And you're not to return to David's trailer located at 4300 West Colonial Drive. You understand, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Stallmaker is mental health.
All right. We'll reset Mr. Stallmaker. Good morning. Are you Mr. Tackett?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, you're here in case number 19 CF 7344. You were arrested for attempted escape. I do find probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Your bond is $1,000. You also have case number 17 CO 601. It's a failure to appear for soliciting without a permit. Your bond is $100. And those are your cases. Could we resolve the soliciting without a permit?
One moment, Your Honor.
I wonder what the status hearing was. Jeez.
Just to make sure there's no cost of investigation, Your Honor.
Okay.
I'll do an adjudication time served.
Okay. Let me just check one thing. It's set for a status hearing and it's a 2017 case, so that.
He failed to appear June 6th at arraignment, 2017. I don't know if he was arrested on something else, which is what.
Yeah, they called, maybe it just had gotten lost. They recalled it up on May 9th. There was pre-trial set on it. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't an issue as to him resolving the case. Okay, Mr. Tackett, do you want to accept the state's offer today regarding the soliciting without a permit case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just need you to sign the plea form, please.
How much time does he have? Do we know?
2 days.
Thank you.
Mr. Tackett, did you read the plea form before you signed it, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions about any of the rights that you're giving up?
No, ma'am.
Are you on probation?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand if you're not a United States citizen that this plea will subject you to deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you taken any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would affect your ability to understand what's happening in court today? Sir, I'm going to accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 2 days in the Orange County Jail with credit for 2 days time served. You're also going to have to pay court costs. Those are due by May 22nd of 2020. You have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing, sir. Thank you. Good morning. Are you Mr. Taylor?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, you're here in 19 CF 7340. You were arrested for grand theft third degree, receiving money from a pawnbroker by false verification, and dealing in stolen property. I do find probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You can't return to Cash America Pawn. You live with Jacqueline?
Not anymore, no.
Okay, all right. All right. I'm gonna order, sir, then you're not to have any contact
Okay.
with Jacqueline?
It's just my sister. It's not.
I know. And I'm gonna stay the bond as to each count. Count 3, 2,500, count 2. Oh, no, I'm sorry, sir. I'm gonna put you on PTR. I saw this over here. I'm gonna place you on pretrial release, okay?
Okay,
Thank you. Good morning, your name?
My name is Desiree Lynn Varner.
Ms. Varner, you're here in case number 13, CF 7493. You failed to appear for your violation of probation hearing on January 18th of 2018. Your bond is currently set at none, and I will appoint the public defender's office to represent you, ma'am.
Okay, is there any way I can get a bond at all?
Well, you'll have to have your attorney file a motion in the court in front of the judge where this will be heard, and they'll have a hearing to determine whether or not.
The reason why I was asking is because I don't live in Florida, and where I was living at currently, I was living with an ex-boyfriend, and I didn't have anywhere to go, so I currently live in Kansas. I've been living in Kansas for a year.
Okay.
So,
You'll have to have your attorney file a motion with the trial court.
which would be my public defender?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Good morning, your name?
Brian Waller.
Mr. Waller, you are here in case number 19 CF 7348. You were arrested for possession of MDMA. I do find probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent you. I'm going to release you on your own recognizance at this time, sir. You need to make sure that your attorneys have your correct address.
Okay.
That way you get notice of your court date and you don't miss court.
Thank
All right?
you.
Otherwise, they're going to issue a warrant for your arrest.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good morning, sir. Your name?
Michael Mason.
Mr. Mason, you're here in case number 19MO988. You were arrested for disorderly conduct and state misdemeanors or resisting officer without violence. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender. Is there an offer for Mr. Mason?
Adjudication 3 days.
All right. Can we take care of the out on bond? The permit violation? It's a CO.
Yes, Your Honor. It'll be the same.
Okay. Mr. Mason, do you want to resolve both your cases this morning?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sign the plea form, please.
I have a appointment for tomorrow. I'll be at a parker. I'll take it at every I see the ordinance. Can I run that too? I haven't seen the ordinance up in the parker, presenting and paying, and I gotta be there tomorrow.
Well, I think that might be the case we're trying to resolve.
Oh, okay. Well,
Okay, let me
no.
check for you to make sure. Otherwise, because if you do, if it's the same case, then you don't have to go.
Okay.
Okay?
On that out on bond case, he did look like have the
Pardon me?
hearing tomorrow.
That's
On
what
out
I'm
on bond
talking
case,
about.
I think that's, and it is in a POPCA, so I'm gonna guess that that's
Yes.
what he's talking about.
Yeah, I just wanted to double check. But you do see that? Is that number a 7-5 or 4-5 on that case number?
4 or 5.
4 or 5? All right. Yeah, that's correct, Mr. Mason. You won't have to go to that court date tomorrow.
Okay,
All
thank
right?
you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mason, did you read the plea form before you signed it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have any questions about any of the rights you're
No.
giving up?
I understand pretty much.
Okay. Are you on probation?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand if you're not a United States citizen that this
Yeah,
plea will
yeah.
subject you to deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Have you taken any drugs, alcohol, or medication?
No, ma'am.
That would affect your ability to understand what's happening in court today?
No, ma'am.
All right. I'll accept your plea as to both cases, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to is it 2 days? Okay. And 2 on this. Okay, so 1 day on 19 CO 45 with credit for 1 day time served, and then in 19 MO 988, I'll sentence you to 3 days with credit for 2 days time served. You'll have to pay court costs, sir, in both cases. Those will be due by May 22nd of 2020, and you have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing. All right? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, good morning. Your name?
Tobias Ratliff.
Mr. Ratliff, you're here in case number 19MO 989. You were arrested for state misdemeanors or possession of cannabis. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Is there an offer for Mr. Ratliff?
Sorry, adjudication 3 days.
Okay. Mr. Ratliff, did you want to accept the offer?
Did you appoint the public defender, Your Honor?
I did. Thank you. All right, Mr. Ratliff, did you read the plea form before you signed it?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about any of the rights that you're giving up?
No, ma'am.
Are you on probation?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand if you are not a United States citizen that this plea will subject you to deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you taken any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would affect your ability to understand what's happening in court today?
No, ma'am.
All right. I will accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 3 days in the Orange County Jail with credit for 2 days time served. You'll have to pay court costs. Those need to be paid by May 22nd of 2020, and you have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing. All right, thank you, sir.
Right.
You had an out on bond case?
Oh, yes, I'll take no action on that case. Thank you. Good morning, sir. Your name?
Good morning.
Excuse me?
Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name?
Salvatore Capuano.
Sir, you're here in case number 19MO4317. You were arrested for battery. There is probable cause. I understand you live in England, sir? Is that correct?
Yeah, I live in England, yeah.
Okay. Sir, at this time, your bond is going to be $2,500. You're not to have any contact with the alleged victims in this case, and you are not to return to SeaWorld. Thank you, sir. Good morning, your name?
Kaya Crawford.
Ms. Crawford, this is case number 19MM4322. You were arrested for trespassing in a structure or a conveyance. I find probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there an offer for Ms. Crawford?
There is not, Your Honor. And the concern state has is that I don't know if there was any damage inside the home or not.
Sure, I understand. Okay. Ms. Crawford, at this time, I'm going to release you on your own recognizance. You need to make sure that your address is updated with the clerk and with your attorney so that you get notice of your next court date. If you fail to show up, they'll issue a warrant for your arrest, ma'am, okay? You're also not to return to 4732 Church Street. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
And it's the same for the next person.
This is, okay, yeah. Hey. Good morning, sir. Your name?
Anthony Galloway, ma'am.
Mr. Galloway, this is 19MM4321. You were arrested for trespass in a structure or a conveyance. I do find probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Your bond is $500, and you're not to return to 4732 Church Street. Good morning, sir. Your name?
Kenny Ray McIntyre.
Mr. McIntyre, you were arrested in 19MM496 for trespass on property after warning. I find probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Is there an offer for Mr. McIntyre?
Adjudication, 3 days, no return.
Mr. McIntyre, do you want to accept the offer?
What was it again?
An adjudication of guilt, 3 days in the Orange County Jail. You have credit for 2, so you'll be released today.
Okay, yes.
All right, sir. Sign the plea form, please. Mr. McIntyre, did you read the plea form before you signed it?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any questions about any of the rights that you're giving up on the plea form?
No.
Are you on probation?
Excuse me?
Are you on probation?
No.
Okay. Do you understand if you're not a United States citizen that this plea will subject you to deportation? Are you a United States citizen, sir? Were you born in this country?
Excuse me?
Were you born here in the United States?
Yes, in
Okay, where were you
Illinois.
born? Where?
Illinois.
Okay. Have you taken any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would affect your ability to understand what's happening in court today?
No, ma'am.
All right. So I'll accept your plea. I'm going to adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 3 days in the Orange County Jail with credit for 2 days' time served. You will also have to pay court costs. Those need to be paid by May 22nd of 2020. You have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing. Sir, you cannot return to Yang Realty. Do you understand? You can't go back to where you were arrested.
Yeah. So, yes.
Okay. Thank
So
you,
I'm
sir.
released tomorrow?
Today.
Today?
Mhm. Good morning, sir. Your name?
Christopher Monroe.
Mr. Monroe. You're here in case number 19MM4310. You were arrested for petty theft with 1 prior conviction. I do find probable cause. I will appoint the public defender. Is there no offer on this case?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
Just for no return as well.
Right. All right, so your bond is $500. Thank you.
I'm not sure when this petty theft occurred.
Good morning. Are you Mr. Pittman?
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. This is case number 19MM4297. You were arrested for trespassing in a structure or conveyance. I do find probable cause. I'll appoint a public defender. Is there an offer for Mr. Pittman?
3 days, no return.
Mr. Pittman, the offer is 3 days in the Orange County Jail with credit for 2 days, and you can't go back to the McDonald's. Do you want to accept that?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Pittman, did you read the plea form before you signed it?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any questions about any of the rights that you're giving up?
No.
Are you on probation, sir?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No probation.
Do you understand if you're not a United States citizen that this plea will subject you to deportation?
Oh, yeah, I'm a United States citizen.
Okay. Have you taken any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would affect your ability to understand what's happening in court this morning?
No, I don't do drugs and alcohol.
Okay. All right, sir.
Thank
I will
you.
accept your plea. I'll adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 3 days in the Orange County Jail with credit for 2 days' time served. You can't go back to the McDonald's, 5400 South Kirkman Road. You'll have to pay court costs. Those need to be paid by May 22nd of 2020. So 1 year from today. And you have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing. Okay, thank you. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Your Honor.
Are you Mr. Wordley?
Sorry, Your Honor, Mr. Wardley is
All right, we'll reset Mr. Wordley. Oh, Mr. Jones?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Jones, you are here for an out-of-county warrant from Broward County for a violation of probation, sir. Your bond is currently set at none, and Broward County was gonna come pick you up, and you'll see a judge when you get there.
And he does have reporting requirements, Your Honor.
Okay, so sir, when you're eventually released from, if you're eventually released from the Broward County Jail, you do have reporting requirements.
Yes, I know that.
Okay, thank you.
I have a hearing tomorrow morning in Broward County.
Okay. Well, they have 72 hours to come pick you up. So I don't know if you're gonna make it or not, but you'll have to let your attorney know that you were here, okay?
Okay, ma'am, thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, are you Mr. Lombardo? All right. Then you must be Mr. Harity. No? Oh. Okay. What's your name, sir?
Toomey.
Mr. Toomey?
That's me.
Oh, okay. Well, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I don't have a case number. Dexter, do you have a case number? Or does anyone have a case number?
19 MM 3913.
Thank you.
AO.
Yeah, got it. It says that he has a public defender already. Bond was stayed. Bond was revoked in the felony. No, it says to get own attorney. Oh, okay, I'm aware. I read this yesterday, sir. So you want to represent yourself, is that still correct? Or do you want to see if you qualify for the public defender?
Yeah, I want to see if I qualify.
For the public defender, okay. Do you have any source of income?
Not right now. I think I lost my job right now.
Okay. Based upon your testimony, I will appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and they will be able to assist you with any 33-day motion, sir. Okay? All right. Is your question answered? So you only came here on the 8th,
Yeah.
right? So that wasn't that long ago, so you wouldn't have any motions right now,
All right.
right? But the public defender is now appointed, so they'll be able to monitor your case.
All right.
All right? Thank you, sir.
Honor, on this case, the state has e-filed, and I also gave a copy to your JA to present to you of a motion for pretrial detention. We have the original affidavit. State would just request that the evaluation be filed under seal so that that is not in the public's domain from the 2018 case. Based on, I do have the detective present, but then we learned a moment ago that he was not going to be present.
Okay.
He's not coming today. I think based on the facts of the police report and in the motion and based on the information that the doctor found in the eval, I think the defendant should be held at no bond. He is dangerous to the community. Based on the allegation, as there was a witness that he poured a mixture of bleach and water down the throat of a 4-year-old. He then smothered her with a pillow. Based on the information we have, as to date, the victim is at the Children's Hospital in stable condition. I can take testimony from the detective if necessary. She is present today. However, I think the affidavit speaks for itself as well with his evaluation for 2018.
Okay. Is Mr. Dublin refusing to come to court?
Mr. Dublin's mental health trial.
Okay.
In addition, I'm sorry, Your Honor, state would ask for, besides the no bond, no contact with any minor children, no contact with the victim's family. It looks like the victim was living with the grandmother anyways, not with him, but that he can't return to that residence either.
Okay. So at this time, I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent Mr. Dublin. I did get a copy of the motion for pretrial detention. I did have a chance to review that. It is facially sufficient. I've reviewed the probable cause affidavit. There is probable cause for both the offenses, which were attempted murder and aggravated child abuse. So at this time, I'm going to grant the motion for pretrial detention. It can be filed in, or for the hearing in the trial court. I will order that he's not to have any contact with the alleged victim. He's not to return to the scene. Ms. Kennedy Swanson, did I miss one of the requests?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, bond is at none. Ms. Kennedy Swanson, did you prepare an order on that motion?
I can go back check with they sent me that copy. Let me see. I'll see if I can.
I just didn't see an order.
If not, I can give one to the clerk in one moment.
And then do I have to order that the evaluation be under seal, or is that something that your office does when they file it?
You have to order.
Okay, and I will order that the evaluation of Mr. Dublin is to be filed under seal. Ms. Bowen, did you let them know who you're here on?
Yes, I did. She's
Okay.
here.
Okay.
Yes.
So I don't want to give you all. Do I give
I'm
you
sorry,
all
Mr.
the
Dublin. We have the case number. I can modify
The Dublin case number? The one that I have is 19AF612.
That was. I don't know if they had changed it to a CF by the
Okay.
time it got to the clerk's office. 7373. I'll put that on the order right now.
Okay, thank you. This is that. This is the eval. I'm gonna just have that started. I'm gonna put this here. Here's, and then here's Mr. Dublin's stuff. Okay. Is Miss Lee ready to be brought out?
She's right there in the hall.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Judge Whitney Bone, on behalf of Ms. Lee, thank you for addressing this afternoon. There was a issue where we tried to inform Judge Wish's chambers, but I think we missed doing it timely in terms of letting them know that I was in Seminole County and wanted to address the bond. I have spoken to the state. They're in agreement to a $2,500 bond. I can outline for the court also reasons compelling. Okay. Sure. So first of all, Judge, again, I wanted to be heard on this because I wanted to ensure that although Judge Bell had made a probable cause determination already in signing the warrant, that because the court has discretion at initial appearance to set a bond under 94806, that the court utilized that discretion, even despite Judge Bell's proclivity, perhaps historically, to not like bonds to be disturbed at initial appearances. The allegations in this case are a violation of a no contact order. I've gone over the affidavit of violation with the state. I don't know if the court also has a copy and has had a chance to review it. Okay. Even on the face of the allegations, I would ask the court to consider the weight of it in terms of the individual stating that he has decided that it was my client contacting him via 2 missed calls and a phone number, but there's no evidence that she was. Again, I'm not asking the court to make a probable cause determination, but as to the weight. And further, Judge, I contacted Miss Lee's probation officer, Karen Steinberg, who confirmed her conversation with me in an email after we spoke. Miss Lee is in full compliance with all the conditions of her probation. She's in batter's intervention with no abuse. She's done 6 out of the 26 courses. She's participating. She's engaged in it. Her participation in that is obviously ongoing. She's done the mental health evaluation that was recommended or ordered by the court, excuse me. There has been treatment recommended. Ms. Steinberg, on behalf of Orange County Corrections, has stated that obviously she is, by virtue of her employment, not permitted to say that she does not object to the court setting a bond as a policy matter. She did state that if the court did set bond in this case, that she would just ask that a condition be that, in addition to the ongoing condition of probation, that Ms. Lee submit to mental health treatment. I have already made arrangements. I've filed a notice of appearance as well. I skipped over that, but prior to coming today, I filed a notice of appearance and served it on the state. I have already made arrangements through Ms. Lee's ex-husband, who is the father of her 2 children, who are 5 and 7, who is a source of support in her life, as well as Ms. Lee's sponsor, to get that ball rolling immediately. I've spoken with Ms. Steinberg from probation about it, so we have no problem with that if the court wants to include that. Ms. Steinberg also informed me that, and again, I have the email if the court wants to see it, confirming the conversation. But Ms. Steinberg also informed me that the individual at issue in terms of the victim in the case, who is my client's ex-boyfriend, lives in Tennessee. It's indicated on...
Did you share this with the state, I'm assuming?
I did, yes.
Okay.
But that individual lives in Tennessee. That individual alleges that these missed calls occurred on April 19th. However, he did not contact probation until May 12th. So probation, obviously, like I said, can't take a formal position regarding bond, but did make that known to me, and that is not maybe specifically highlighted in the affidavit of violation of probation, but there is a letter attached to the affidavit of violation. And according to probation, that's when it was received, and I outlined that in the email, which was then confirmed in a responsive email from probation. My client, like I said, has 2 children, each 5 and 7, of whom she has 50-50 time sharing with her ex-husband, Dr. Kelvin Lee. Dr. Lee, the 2 children are local. Miss Lee has lived in the area for over 3 years now. She has a job. She had just begun working in landscaping and floral. That's her background, and that job is still awaiting her. Her sponsor has ensured that. Her sponsor's name is Anna Martell. Miss Lee was actually in the process of moving in with her sponsor. I know I'm kind of jumping around. It's in the email as well, but the Miss Lee has not had any dirty urine tests. She did a voluntary 12-hour, I forget, it's in my email, Judge. Thank you. Cognitive behavioral changes course. That was done voluntarily. It was not ordered by the court. She has been consistent in reporting to probation. Judge, she has no prior failures to appear. She is not a risk of flight. She has significant ties to the community. She has a job here. She lives here. She would live with Miss Martell upon her release. She was already in the process of moving in. I have that address as well for pretrial services or whomever. It's 1830 Carol Lee Lane, Winter Park, Florida, 32789. Miss Lee, like I said, is 45 years old. She has no criminal history prior to this case. She's not been alleged to violate previously. she's presumed innocent of the violation. Again, I would ask the court to consider the weight of it as being relatively weak. I would also argue that there are reasonable terms of pretrial release which could ensure her appearance in court, but also ensure the integrity of the court system and the safety of individuals in the community. So for all of those reasons, Judge, and I think I've covered everything, and again, under Norris, even though, and that's 768 Southern 2nd, 1070, I know the court's familiar with it, Florida Supreme Court 2000, despite the fact that there was a warrant signed, it doesn't, obviate the court's responsibility here at initial appearance to determine if there are reasonable terms of bond that can be set. She may not be constitutionally entitled per se. I think that's arguable. I think she might be. But under 94806, at least, the court statutorily has discretion to set a bond. And because the state's agreeing to a $2,500 bond, which is what she is capable of posting, I would ask the court grant that bond, please.
Okay. Thank you. That was very thorough. You answered all the questions that I was going to ask you to place on the record in considering exercising discretion to set a bond. State you're in agreement with everything that was presented.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Ms. Bone, I do think that $2,500 bond is appropriate based upon everything that you presented to the court today. I will add the condition that was requested by the probation officer that she's to submit to an evaluation and any recommended treatment?
She's done the evaluation. They recommended psychiatric further evaluation in terms of determining the appropriateness or not of psychotropic medication.
Okay.
I think also in addition to dual diagnosis, treatment related to mental health and substance abuse, she's already participating, like I said, in a 12-step program.
Right.
Like I said, I've spoken with her ex-husband and her sponsor and her probation officer, and Ms. Lee, and I'm going to assist her in getting a psychiatric evaluation done. Promptly, and also participating in individual therapy that deals with substance abuse and mental health related issues.
Okay. So then I'll just order that she's to continue with any mental health treatment and comply with any recommendations.
Thank you, Judge.
That may go along with that. I believe that was the only other additional
that was probation's request, yes.
request.
Yes.
So I guess that'll be all.
Okay, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
hearing this, Judge. I
Sure.
appreciate it.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Here's the initial paperwork. Yeah, this is just her old probation order. Sir, good afternoon. Your name?
My name is Mark Stephen Johnston Jr., ma'am.
Mr. Johnston, you are here in case number 19MM4331. You were arrested for trespass on property after warning and criminal mischief. I do find probable cause, and I will appoint the public defender's office to represent you.
There is no offer, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, sir, your bond on count 1 will be $500, and your bond on count 2 is going to be $100. You're not to return to the 7-Eleven at 8910 South Orange Blossom Trail. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. Your name, sir?
Jared Champion.
Mr. Champion, this is 19 CF 7368. You were arrested pursuant to a warrant where probable cause was previously found for the offense of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon without intent to kill, grand theft of a motor vehicle, criminal mischief, $1,000 or more, and battery, touch, or strike. I will appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Your bond on count 1 is $2,500. Your bond on count 2 is $1,000. Your bond on count 3 is $500, and your bond on count 4 is $500. You're not to have any contact with the alleged victim in this case, sir, or possess any weapons or any firearms. Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
Jeffrey Dempsey.
Mr. Dempsey, this is case number 19 CF 7364. You were arrested for possession of methamphetamine. I find probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you. I'm going to release you on your own recognizance, sir. Please make sure that you have a way for your lawyer. Your contact information is updated with the clerk of the court as well as your lawyer, so you get notice of your next court date.
Yes, ma'am.
Otherwise, if you miss it, they'll issue a warrant for your arrest.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
O'Neal Goodman.
Mr. Goodman, this is 19 CF 7360. You were arrested for possession of a weapon by a convicted felon, possession of amphetamine, and possession of drug paraphernalia. I do find probable cause and will appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Sir, at this time, I'm going to release you on your own recognizance. You need to make sure that your contact information is current with your lawyer and the clerk of the court, so you get notice of your court date. Otherwise, they'll issue a warrant for your arrest if you fail to appear, sir.
Okay.
Okay?
We have no
Yes, ma'am.
weapons as well, Your Honor.
Yes, sir. You're not to possess any weapons or any firearms of any kind. And weapons means any weapon. No pepper spray. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, sir. Sir, good afternoon. Your name?
Carter Green.
Mr. Green? Sir, this is case number 19 CF 7363. You were arrested for driving while license suspended with 2 prior convictions and possession of drug paraphernalia. I do find probable cause for both offenses. Sir, did you want to hire your own attorney, or do you want to see if you qualify for the public defender? Okay. Do you have a job?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How much money do you make every 2 weeks after taxes?
About 400.
400?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have any children or family members that you take care of? Okay, so you do qualify, and I will appoint the public defender to represent you based upon your testimony. Your bond on count 1 is $2,500, and your bond on count 2 is $100. Thank you. Sir, good afternoon. Your name?
Keo Green.
Mr. Green, this is case number 19 CF 7357. You were arrested for trafficking in MDMA greater than 10 grams, less than 200 grams, and resisting officer without violence. I find probable cause. Were you going to hire an attorney, sir, or do you want to see if you qualify for the public defender?
Qualified public defender.
Okay. Are you working?
Public defender.
Are you working? No. Do you have any source of income? No. Okay. Based upon your testimony, I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent you, sir. Your bond on count 1 is going to be $50,000. Your bond on count 2 is $100. Thank you. Good afternoon, your name?
Axel Ortiz.
Mr. Ortiz, this is case number 19 CF 7362. You were arrested for fleeing or attempting to elude a law enforcement officer with a vessel and resisting officer without violence. I will appoint the public defender's office to represent you, sir.
They're concerned that it was a bike.
Yeah. So the statute that they cited is 84318, and that's a boat.
No objection to RRRs to count one.
Okay. So there's no probable cause for count one. Sir, you are going to be ROR'd as to that count. All right. Your bond on count two is $500. Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
Jamarius Walker.
Mr. Walker, you're here in case number 19 CF 7359. You were arrested for destruction of evidence, possession of drug paraphernalia, and possession of cannabis less than 20 grams. I find probable cause. Sir, are you going to hire your own attorney, or do you want to see if you qualify for the public defender?
I see. You can.
All right. Are you working?
No, ma'am.
And do you have any source of income?
Yes, ma'am. I got to go back. As soon as I get out, I got to go back and get my own Social Security check back turned on.
Got it. How much do you make a month?
It went up. Actually, it had went to like 8. It had went to like 830 something.
Okay.
830 something a month.
All right. Okay, sir, based upon your testimony, I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you. At this time, sir, your bond on count one will be $500, your bond on count two will be $100, and your bond on count three will be $100.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
Jeffrey Copeland.
Mr. Copeland, you're here in 19 CT 558. You were arrested for driving while license suspended or revoked. I do find probable cause. You also are here in case number 19MM244, possession of cannabis less than 20 grams. I also find probable cause for that offense, and I will appoint the public defender's office to represent you.
Okay.
Sir, your bond in 19 CT 558 will be $500, and in 19 MM244, I'm going to release you on your own recognizance, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I'm good to go? Or release leave?
Sir, your name?
Michael Saravillo.
Sir, this is case number 19MM4329. You were arrested for battery and for assault. I do find probable cause for both of the offenses and will appoint the public defender's office to represent you. You also have case number 19MM4330, where you were arrested for disorderly conduct at a public establishment. I also find probable cause for that offense, and I will appoint the public defender. State, is it correct that there's no offer on the 4329?
What's his last name, Your Honor?
Caravello?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Mr. Caravello, at this time, I'm going to order that you're not to have any contact with the victim, the alleged victim, Brian Eugene. You can't go back to the Pizza Hut at 7060 International Drive. You're not to possess any weapons or any firearms. Your bond on count 1 is going to be $250. Your bond on count 2 is $250. Can we resolve 19MM4330?
No, Your Honor. State's not gonna make an offer.
All right. At this time, sir, your bond in that case will be $100. Thank you. Good afternoon, your name?
Brian Torres.
Mr. Torres, you're here in case number 19MM4327. You were arrested for possession of cannabis less than 20 grams. I find probable cause and will appoint the public defender's office to represent you. And at this time, I'm going to order pretrial release, sir.
Your Honor, State has no objection to ROR.
Okay, I'm going to order pretrial release. Thank you. Good afternoon, your name?
Tavares Patterson.
Mr. Patterson, this is an out-of-county warrant from Seminole County. Currently, your bond is set at none. You will see a judge when you get to Seminole County, and it's related to a violation of probation, sir. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
Mejia Tyree.
Mr. Tyree, this is case number 19M0993. You were arrested for trespass. I find probable cause. Is there an offer for Mr. Tyree?
Adjudication 3 days, no return.
Mr. Tyree, did you want to accept that offer?
Yes.
Okay, please sign the plea form. Mr. Tyree, did you read the plea form before you signed it?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about any of the rights you're giving up?
No.
Are you on probation?
No.
Do you understand if you're not a United States citizen that this plea will subject you to deportation?
Yes, I understand.
Have you taken any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would affect your ability to understand what's happening in court today?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Sir, I'll accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 3 days in the Orange County Jail with credit for 2 days' time served. You'll also have to pay court costs. Those are due by May 22nd of 2020, and you have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing. All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Wright's case.
Samantha, okay.
Okay, then we have Mr. Wright's case. And I was previously told that Mr. Wright is still medical. So he won't be coming to court this afternoon. I can't seem to get on Odyssey at the moment. What's the status of Mr. Wright's 18 MM 8426 case? This isn't working. Will you please, my computer's like, it won't.
Oh, it's 2019 MM?
It's 18 MM 8426.
Pre-trial conference on June the 17th, trial period beginning July the 16th. Division 61.
Okay. So I'm going to appoint the public defender's office on Mr. Wright's case, in case number,
I don't understand what you're saying.
19 CF 7260. There's probable cause for grand theft of a motor vehicle, intimidation with death or serious bodily harm to law enforcement officer and resisting officer without violence. I'm going to stay the bond as to each count, 2,500, 100, 100. And 18 MM 8426, I'm going to take no action. I think that's everything. Ms. Kennedy Swanson, anything else from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Nguyen?
Nothing, Your Honor.
All right, then we'll be in recess.